we have no initiatory practices. Whereas once upon a time, our ancestors and our elders, there were tried and true ancestral initiatory practices that help men step into manhood from boyhood. And oftentimes that was done through a contained encounter with the unknown. And because we've lost those initiatory practices, what happens is men, especially in our society, we initiate ourselves through getting drunk. We initiate ourselves from sex. We initiate ourselves from anything trying to feel like we're stepping into a new chapter in our life. But deep in our DNA longs for those initiatory practices. And it is scary because there's no blueprint. Whereas, like, once upon a time, your ancestors, my ancestors, there was a blueprint. What's happening in our generation is we're like, hey, we have to initiate ourselves. And so we take these leaps of like, yo, I'm walking away from everything. I'm traveling the world. I'm moving into my van and I'm gonna see really what I'm about. And that's a scary process because the ego loves to identify with like, I have a home, I have a car, I have a mortgage, I have like all these things that make sense. But the truth is that's the ego's truth. And what I've learned is once we remove all the non-essentials, all the weeds, essentially, that's when we can really plant seeds of our potential and our truth and our growth. And that's a scary process, but that's what you're in. It's in alchemy, they would call it the nigredo, or this phase of decomposition. And in alchemy, nigredo is the first phase of alchemy where you're deep beneath the soil. Nobody sees it. It's murky, it's musty, it's challenging at times, but inevitably, that's the space where the seed pulls all the nutrients in to inevitably like blossom and become the flower. And then the flower is the thing everybody sees, and they're like, "Oh man, wow, you're great! Like you're doing it." But they never see those moments where we have to go in to the shadow work and into the cave and like build whatever we need to build, and that's usually done through like an initiatory practice. And I'm learning, the more we get comfortable of stepping into the cave again and again and again, because it's not just one time, the more we activate our potential. And so every time we step into the unknown, we step into van life, we step into nomad life, we step into a new job, we walk away from a new thing. That's ourselves essentially activating an ancient practice of initiation within our DNA that inevitably pushes us to a higher level of our truth. At least in my opinion, in my experience, that's what I'm witnessing time and time again as I've walked my journey and seeing a lot of my brothers also walk their journeys as well.